regarde télé. Puis avoir des petits mettants un parleur dans le milieu.
Are you good?
Comme gros, le parleur comme ça. Puis on a sorti dans la noirceur, on a mis back, puis il y a des choc. Je ne peux pas faire ça pour 5 jours. Si maintenant, toute la journée, jusqu'au soir.
Viens voir là, où là, pas les deux?
Oui.
Ouais, non, il n'y a pas de poisson.
Non, c'est pas.
C'est pas de noir.
J'avais des gars qui s'appellent d'assurance.
Non, c'est. Moi, il y a pas de l'équipement. Il y a pas de façon de parler. À la campsite, il y a 4-5 setups. Vraiment. Tout le monde a eu ce son. Pardon, qui est avec le setup que tu veux. Puis c'est.
Il va monter. Je peux rien qu'avoir un ou l'autre.
J'ai de voir si travailler.
Moi, je peux voir.
Avec nous autres, ça me coûterait 50 000 pièces. Je comprends là-dessus de la qualité.
Puis en fait, on aurait peut-être worker
Parlez dans le micro.
Il y a des four-wheeler, des tracks, des four-wheeler truck tracks. Il y a des TGs, 3-4 sizes de trailers. Il y a des tubs avec la glace dedans pour le icing.
Ok, ouais. Ouais, ça c'est différent. C'est ma tous les anneaux. Yeah.
Tu es bien?
Ah oui, toi?
L'hôtel? T'as encore un hôtel?
Ah oui.
Ah ouais?
Ça dans l'autre qui sont
Un autre métier.
That's it.
C'est ça que j'étais.
Non.
Non?
Non, pendant les engager des autres, puis il
Ah ben, c'est ça,
C'est pour ça que je n'ai rien aimé.
il reste à monter le CA.
Non, mais c'est pour ça que les gens ont le droit, c'est le
It's on the Saint-Anne Street, like in downtown Shediac. It's on the west majority, it's still downtown Shediac.
Ici, on peut voir
And we can see,
close-up du terrain en
it's a
question.
close-up
Ça
of
se
the
trouve
land.
derrière
It's just
l'ancien
behind
hôpital,
like the former
loin de
hospital,
l'école MFP,
not far from
spéciale.
the MFP
C'est
school.
un endroit plutôt central.
It's in the central area.
Voici une photo aérienne que tu peux voir.
There's an aerial view, you
Présentement,
can
c'est
see it
juste
now.
un terrain vacant,
It's a vacant land, so it's a parking, a gravel parking lot.
Ici, on voit la carte de zonage.
And we see like the
identifie
zoning
les terrains
map.
dans la zone, commerce
It
central.
identifies like all
Alors, dans la zone
the
commerce
other
centrale,
lots. So in the central commercial, there, multifamily units are allowed, like under reserve paragraph 2, and it indicates like for multifamily units, they need to be above, it have to be above like the first floor, only when the lot is facing Main Street. So the whole building will be used for residential units.
On peut voir ici
And we can see here, it's just, it's just,
juge pas nécessairement sur le contenu du projet,
it's
mais
just
ça
a
donne
plan
une
of,
indication de
it
ce qui
gives
est
you,
proposé
it gives an
en termes de
indication
projet.
what's proposed in terms of the
Aujourd'hui,
project.
on fait vraiment juste
Today,
de la
we're really looking at the variance.
Tu peux voir juste en avant
As you
de
can
l'auto
see,
rouge,
just
il y
in
a
front
une
of the
entrée
red
qui
card, there's
projette,
an entrance,
en avant du bâtiment.
and it's in front of the screen, so it referred in the staff report that it's part of the reason why the building is a little bit farther from the road.
Plan de localisation,
Localization
le
plan,
terrain se
well,
trouve actuellement en
the
deux
lot
rues.
is
Il y a
between
la rue
two streets.
Saint-Anne
There's
et
a
en
Saint
arrière,
Anne Street, and behind is Maple Street.
Alors, techniquement, on a deux
Technically,
tours avant,
we would have like
deux
two
tours latérales de chaque
front
côté. Il y a
yard
pas
and
de
two
tour arrière
side
à ce projet
yard.
ici.
There's no backyard for this project.
Cour avant,
And
en
the front
avant
yard,
est
like
plus que le 3 mètres, mais la
is
cour
more than 3
avant, en
meters,
arrière, si on veut dire
but
ça, sur la Maple,
but
et à
the
l'intérieur
yard
de
of,
la-
facing Maple Street
l'obligation
would
d'être à 3
be,
mètres de la rue.
has to be 3 meters from the street, so there's no
Qui rend compte des
variances.
exigences
And
de
they meet the
conciliation
requirements like from side
séparation.
to the other in terms of separation.
Consultation avec la
Consultation
municipalité concernant
with the
l'eau
municipality
potable et le
concerning
drainage, encore
drinking
des
water
détails à
and draining,
clarifier
still
avant
some
de
details to
livrer un
clarify
permis.
before they can deliver a permit.
De conséquences vis-à-vis
There's
de la
no
question de la dérogation.
consequences for the variance in front of us today. It's mostly when we give like a building permit, so the Shediac Sewer Commission, they have some details to give, like for the servitude going the properties, the easement. We asked the fire chief for comments, did not get any, and the NP Power was also consulted because they have an easement like on the Saint Anne Street. Usually an easement for public is 5 meters wide. In this case, it was only 3 meters. So if there was not, the entrance, the building could have been against the 3 meters, and they wouldn't have needed the variance. It shows the subdivision plan, like with the easement of 3 meters on Saint Anne Street. So from then we got the communication to the Department of NB Power to see if there was a possibility to work within like that easement. So we did not get any comment. So we wanted the project to go forward. So we thought it would be appropriate to bring it this evening. A notice was sent to the 60 meters on September 13th. The moment of writing this report, we received one call. So I gave my email and I asked if he had something to present to the meeting. I did not receive anything. She was not able to attend this meeting because she did not have her 2 vaccines. So I said, well, if you want, you can send me my comments and I'll share them with the committee. And I did not receive anything by 4:30. So unfortunately, we did not receive this comment. So there were other people who called, but I think they're the people, so they might have something to say when it's the time to do so. And finally, simply we recommend that the variance of Tony Gallant on behalf of 51705 and be limited for variance to increase the maximum permitted setback to 5 meters for multifamily unit on Saint Anne with the PID 704-9203, BID 0097-4501. and 0097-5094 be approved because the variance is reasonable and respect like the zoning regulation. Thank you, that's all. Any members of the committee who have question for Mr. Boudreau? Anyone in the room who would like to talk? Yes, if you can go to the mic.
I've lived there. Six-story unit apartment building on our street would effectively, since my front windows and doors face that area, would effectively cut, that's all I'd see. Would be a six-story, 90-unit apartment building, and that would be it. I'm sure that would devalue my property greatly. It would devalue my enjoyment of my property. I think that there's plenty of other places in Shediac where they could build a six-story unit apartment building without obstructing homeowners' views, especially long-term homeowners' views. And I would like to ask any member here, which one of you would like that built right across the street from your house? Something that large. That's as tall as the Hotel Shediac is right now, the 6-unit. At first I was comparing it to the office building at the end of my street. Now that's only three-story high. This is double it. So I get to see nothing then. I probably won't even get to see the afternoon sun anymore, not with the 6-story unit. And it's going to do that for all 5 houses along that street. And the other thing I would like to ask is, where are you going to put all these cars for 90 units? Is there an answer to that at all? Are they just going to park out on the street?
You can't see it on the screen there. There's, the parking lot is in the back there, and there's also some underground parking as well.
Okay, so we're going to increase the traffic on our street, which is already horrendous as it is. I've made numerous complaints in the past about people using it as the Trans-Canada Highway down my street. Okay, you hear them open up when the minute they turn off of Main Street, and they don't let up till they're down at Belleville. Okay, made numerous complaints. As a matter of fact, at one point we had a slow children playing sign. It got taken down and never put back. So our street is dangerous enough as it is, not without adding 90 units on that little tiny street. And so I'd object to this totally. It's going to put 5 houses. It'll devalue our property greatly. You want to buy out our property? Fine, buy out our property.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr.? Madame Conseillère Bourg-Chevalier.
Merci. This is not maybe a question, but it's already zoned to be able to build. We're not discussing the matter of to build it or not, because I think he already has a.
Oh, well, the street is already commercially zoned, yes, I agree. But to put a 90-unit, 6-story apartment building on that little tiny street, is that really the ideal place to put it?
But if it's zoned for, I know what you mean, I do understand what you're saying, but.
Well, you're basically putting up a 6 stories, what would that equal to? A 60-foot wall in front of my house.
But tonight we're voting on le retrait de 5 mètres.
Well, I would request, don't grant the setback then. It's not suited for that area of town. As I said, would you like that built right across the street from your house?
Well,
And I live right in what would be the smack dab middle of it. So look that way or look that way, that's all I'm gonna see is apartment building in my street, that's it.
Do you have any other questions? Conseil?
But that's my request, don't grant the zoning, don't allow this to go through.
Does anyone else have any questions, comments? Monsieur Goodell?
I just wanted to share her comment, because I think you have to understand that the role of this committee is to simply look at the variance request. So if we were to deny it, they can still build that building, but they'll have to build it at 3 meters from the road.
Right,
What they're asking is to set it back 5 meters instead of 3. So we don't have any power here to stop the project. All we can do is review the request for the variance, because it's already zoned for an apartment building.
so in effect,
I don't disagree with what you're
in
saying.
denying the variance,
They could still go ahead.
it
and
can
build-
still go ahead, but would it?
Well, I can't answer that question, but they technically could come back and make it fit within the variance, within the zoning.
Well, then
and they could build it.
I'm not gonna make it easy for them, I'll be here every meeting, every public meeting.
No, I just
Expressing
want
my
you to understand
concern
what our
that
role
when I
is.
walk out my front door in the morning, I'm going to see a 60-some foot wall apartment building and nothing else. And that's not what I moved to Shediac for. That's not what I live in Shediac for.
No, I sympathize with you, but it's just
And-
our role is really to.
Yes, I understand it's a commercially zoned and whatnot, but I'm asking, don't grant the variance, make it hard on them.
Okay.
Any other questions? Est-ce que d'autres membres ont des questions? Bon, OK. Personne qui voudrait prendre la parole?
Now, I would need a member to make a motion on this variance. Can you bring it back on the screen, the motion? I move that we had accept the variance as presented. So you approve the 5 meter setback. Okay, Mr. Desprez seconds the motion. Question before we vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. Thank you. Next item, 9A. Okay, the floor is back to Mr. Boudreau. Thank you. Item 9A is on this, it's on the procedural bylaw of the Prague. It says like the Prague will not look at the request that are already rejected over the next year unless there are other proof or the condition change. And to this effect, like the applicant has to do a presentation to the committee with new information, where you can judge if it justify like to defer like the request to the next meeting to revisit like to allow an accessory building for us is very important. It's a great project, and we would like to have the opportunity to present this information during a next meeting. From what I understood, I'm not presenting the new argument. I'm only submitting the request if you would be open for me to come back to present the new arguments. That's all. Thank you. Question from Mr. Boudreau or Mrs. Arsenault? I mean comments. Comme ça veut, it's my first meeting, so if we do not hear our arguments out, you see, like she has new arguments, so how we cannot take a decision but if you have new arguments, well, if it's something that was not done when the decision was taken, I would be ready to listen to if these are new justification. Well, any other questions or comments? Is what's bothers me. We did not theoretically took a decision. The fact we did not take a decision, it's against, but still we did not take any discussion. We did not vote for it or against it. Personally, I would like for it to come back to the committee for this reason. Any other comments or questions? I would need a motion, Mr. Boudreau, to adopt or not. Yes, it's very simple. It's really to say that the information is sufficient, so you can defer the item to the agenda for next month. The other one would be to table it until they can prepare a presentation with the information, and then you can just, if this information is adequate, it would be another month delay for the project. So the power is with this committee, so that's why the staff did not prepare a report and a motion. It's up to you to decide if the information they're given this evening to revisit the request next month. Motion to adopt or a simple motion saying that the information is sufficient to defer the request or not, really like it. So she's saying she was told not to bring details this evening, right? Is it the case? What would you like? I will read it. So the PRAC does not revisit if it was rejected over the last year, unless they feel they have new element of rules or the conditions change. It's quite simple. It's up to you to decide if there is information. So if it's, yes, the committee can decide if it can be deferred to next month. for the neighborhood, because if we consider like the size of the land we are building, we could building 7 to 8 up, we're building what? We only want the garage match the style of the house. Another information I would like to share with you is technically we could subdivide we're allowed to 2 lot to build the house on 1 lot, and then we could build the garage on the other lot. We'd only need to have like a kitchenette, a little loft, and a bathroom we could build on top of the. If we would go in this direction with this option, we would have no limit for the garage size. So we could go as big as we want, because it would be considered as a principal building, but not as an accessory building. So we could build the garage, but we would need put it on the other lot. At the end of the day, we want this project. We will do what we can, like to build our project, but it's not the direction we want to go. If we go in that direction, well, it means for us, as a Shady Access, we'll have to pay twice the tax, a double sewer tax. So at the financial level, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It can be done, but we don't think it's reasonable to go in this, to take this avenue. Finally, like the cost would increase considerably, and we're hoping like to avoid those costs. So we would ask the PRAC to please consider this information to grant the variance, so we can proceed with the construction project that would be start in April. We receive a letter from the back, so it would be the neighbor most impacted. He's just behind the house, and I think this letter was sent, so he showed his support like for our project. In a nutshell, that's what it is. So it would really appreciate it if you could reconsider like the position of the members. And thank you very much. Anybody has questions? The neighbor we received a letter from. Would it be affected by directly by your building, and the height? The other ones are beside. So our house would be there, the garage would be there, but it's the neighbor at the back, like it would have the most impact. It's the only one the view would be impacted. Any other question? Thank you, Mrs. So we need a motion. It's not to approve the variance, just decide if with this information you can bring back in front of the committee. Mr. Boudou, since the only neighbor is directly impacted, is sending a letter of support, and we did not have this information the last time, I move that we adopt we cannot accept the request to revisit the file. I second. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor by saying aye, against nay. Motion carried. Could someone get Mr. Arsenault? test, veux-tu faire un test tout de suite ou c'est qui? C'était-tu avec les écouteurs ou non?
Non, c'est sur le site,
Sur le site?
parce que ça,
OK.
c'est tout,
Ouais,
live, là.
Ouais, ouais, ben, veux-tu qu'il essaye? On peut l'essayer tout de suite, là, pour être sûr qu'on a les...
Je vais le
Il est-tu à mon tour?
Non.
Attends une minute. Oui, bon. C'est ben, jusqu'au T-site. Voici là que je veux le tester.
Je suis avec la traductrice, là. Elle se demande si qu'elle pouvait faire un test. Comment ça dit ça?
Hello, can you hear me in English?
Moi, si tu l'attends.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me in English? It's a test. Là, par exemple, je ne vois pas parce qu'il n'est pas ici, hein?
Bon, il est juste en haut.
Ah, OK.
Ici, à ton site.
OK. Hi, Denis, can you hear on the English trans?
Yes,
Ah,
parfait.
OK. Bon.
Merci.
Puis ça, c'est anglais.
suis sur arrière la tête. Là, vous êtes sur arrière la tête, il y a, là.
Mais pas Janice.
Là.
Janice, c'est pas dessus.
Ah non?
Les micros sont pas.
Non, moi je suis inscrite aussi.
Oh, ok.
Sont pas.
Che drôle, hein?
Moi je suis en haut, je joue ça dans mon
Pourquoi une grosse formation? Ça peut être facile. Sur les bureaux top, des bureaux,
Moi juste que je contacte les scrums.
vous donnez accès.
Ouais.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the council. We'll start with the national anthem. Now the reflection of the council. Us, as municipal officials, we take the commitment to look at our community favorably and fairly. We also take the responsibility to always have the right judgment, and that at all times during our discussion, all our actions are efficient, inspired, and oriented for the wellness of all the citizens of this town. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to see you all back. Please note that we all have a mask because of the new restriction from public health that have been in place since Saturday morning. We lived through the same situation before, so we'll do it for a while. We're just hoping things will calm down. Today, like we reach like a record again. So it's not going the right direction, but we're hoping things will improve. Just before I would please take note, we are gathering on the traditional unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq and the and Melis people. Mr. Clerk, we have a quorum. Do we have any declaration of conflict of interest on one item on the agenda? If the if the agenda can be posted on the screen. We change three like page 4. We change it at first. We put no conflict of interest. Say like no declaration of conflict of interest. So the nuance is quite important. Is to remind the council, it's not up to us to decide like if it's a conflict of interest. It's up to each member of the council to declare if they have any conflict of interest. So it said no declaration of conflict of interest. No, there was no declaration. So it's a change as it's an important nuance. So it's clearer for all of us. It's good. So before I start with the adoption of the agenda, I would like to mention last week, maybe last weekend, a few days ago, one of our entrepreneurs, Mr. Camille Beliveau, passed away. We used to call him Kalim Block because he was building a concrete block. So I had the opportunity like to go to the funeral parlors but before the new restrictions. And we know like this guy contributed a lot in our community for a very long time. He's the brother-in-law of one of my neighbors. We could have, if you could have a minute of silence. Thank you. You have in front of you the agenda. I would need a motion to adopt the agenda. Moved by Councillor Sylvie Colette Boudreau, seconded by Councillor Emile O'Brien. Questions before we vote? All those in favor saying aye, against nay. Motion carried. From page 4, adoption of the minutes, we have two. One of the August 31st and one from the special meeting on September the 13th. Page 18. If you have the opportunity to read it, was there any omission, mistakes, anything that was forgot? Please mention it. If not, I would need a motion to adopt the 2 minutes. Moved by Councillor Boudreau, seconded by Jean-Claude Bertin. Questions before? All those in favor saying aye, against nay. Motion carried. Next item, we have a few public presentation. We have an addition, but it was almost last minute. 6.5, Mr. Willie Alain. We wanted to address the council. First, we have a former councillor with us, Mr. Emery Landry. If you would like to come forward, Mr. Landry. You can sit down so you have access to the mic to get your word and diffuse it because we're already broadcasted. And translation is available on our two YouTube channels, one in English, one in French. So you're good. Thank you. My name is Emery Landry. I live at 644 Main Street in Shediac. I would like to thank you, Mr. Mayor, and councillors, the administration, to give me a few minutes to try to solve like some conflicts because it took 3 years. Due to the fact there are several councillors who are new, please allow me to go back 3 years. When in June I called the administration to know why do I have to pay two water tax and all the Airbnb, they pay no fees. Well, the administration told me would be settled soon. At the same date in June, I called yourself, Mr. Mayor, and I asked the same question. July 4, I met with Jacques Leblanc. He was mayor at the time because I did not receive no answer. And Jacques Leblanc told me, don't bother, Mary, I will solve this for I will take care of it. By the end of the summer, 3 months later, so after I got no phone calls from the manager, from you, mayor, or for the mayor at the time, Jacques Leblanc, I addressed the council to know how come, as a citizen of the town of Shediac, why nobody had the honor or to call me back. You remember well, Mr. Mayor, you were there. There are some councillors around the table, and they remember like I was on the council. Last year, I did not open my bed and breakfast because of the pandemic. I said I will not open as long as we're in a pandemic. So, and at the beginning of the year, I called the manager in June. I said, what happened? Like for 3 years, I've been waiting. Do I open? Do I do or not? Do I pay for the water tax or do I not pay the water tax? He said it was not settled yet. So what he answered, are some new councillors around the table, and it's time we put this in place. Over the last weeks, Mr. Mayor, I spoke with the councillors and said, was the problem put on the agenda since June? Nobody said yes or no. It's not. It's not with pleasure I'm here. It's not for fun I'm here. It's unfortunate, like to come back. Something that should have been settled 3 years ago. At the beginning of June this year, I counted 42 Airbnb. I don't know how they are today, but I'm talking beginning of the summer when the councillors say yeah, there are 3 Airbnbs like around this house. If you go on the computer, Mr. May, it's not difficult to find. You'll find all of them. And then when I'm saying 42, I'm talking 42 individuals who are connected on the Shediac's water system. So I went from like the school from Shediac K because the service goes up to there, and I went up to Joe Belivo's house. So that's the I found 42 Airbnb. They're not hard to find. You just open your computer and you can find them, all of them. Why? I just have a bed and breakfast, like two bedrooms, and I only can sleep for 4%. I have to pay like two taxes. Those 42, they're using the same service and they paid zero because to the town of Shediac this year. As a good citizen, I wasn't sure if I would open because I told the manager on July 10th I decided to open. I put my sign. July 13th I got a water bill. Somebody must have watched me to see if I would put my sign up or not because 3 days after I got my water bill. On July the 21st I came to the town of Shediac and I met Mr. Lise Cormier and I said, Lise, she said, I'm doing my job, but I send the water bills. I said, Lise, I'll tell you something. I told you last year that I would not open during the pandemic. But the pandemic just ended. I could not open January, March. I could not open. It was during the pandemic. So I got a bill that started like January 1st, like 2021, if someone wants to see it. But I told her, like, since I only opened on July 10th, I will pay like the whole month of July, all the month of August, and all the month of September. 92 days and it's $92. So because my bill for the year is $365. It's a $1 a day. So I just received another bill that says I paid my bill like for my house. I paid $92, but I still owe the balance. As long as I remember, I do not owe this amount. If I was honest, to go to the town of Shediac and pay 3 months that I was not open, like on September 12th, I closed my doors. I have no bed and breakfast. So the sign, I removed the sign. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, it's time after 3 years to settle this. It's about time, like a small bed and breakfast. If you count them, like over the last years, there were 12 bed and breakfasts in the town of Shediac. I could not count that. You know all of them. They're closed today. I'm the only one left. I got a guy, like he was from California, and I asked him what he did, but he said he was working for government, but his wife, she said he's a judge because she was proud like her husband was a judge. And I asked her, sir, how you're coming to a small bed and breakfast? So when I go to a hotel, I'm in business. I have a necktie, a suit, and I'm in for business. And when I'm on vacation, I want the small bed and breakfast because I can be there and receive information of what's going on there. He was supposed to stay 2 days. He stayed 4 days instead. Since I've been there, I got individuals who came back over and over again. The comments, Mr. Mayor, good comments. This summer, I received one call from the tourism office to ask if I had one room. One call. If I didn't have my repeat customers, if I didn't have Airbnb too, I would have had to close my doors a long time ago because it's not with the tourism office from the town of Shediac. I could fill my rooms at the beginning of the summer when I went to the tourism office, tourist center. I asked a couple of questions. The three girls that were there, they were really nice, but one of them was from Bouctouche from Capelé and one from Haute-Abjawa, and they didn't even know if the Parley Beach belonged to the beach province or the federal government, which is the number one attraction of the town of Shediac. So if we bring people to Shediac, it's not because we're good looking and we have hair, and a lot of us don't have hair anymore. So, Mr. Mayor, I was councillor. I was mayor of the town of Shediac, and I knew we would never have hope 3 years when I was there, like to try to settle a problem like this one. It's up to you to decide. There are some councillors here around the tables who were here when I came here 3 years ago. If those same councillors, they are still here 3 years after, if the administration never brought this on the agenda, why don't you, the councillors, didn't ask? So it's part of the agenda. I'm asking you this question. The new councillors, well, I hope that you will put it on the agenda because it's about time. I'm repeating myself. I'm not here like for fun, like having to repeat myself a second time what I did 3 years ago. Thanks for listening to me. And I told Connie I wouldn't take less than 5 minutes, and I think I only took 4 minutes. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Landry. It was the first presentation. So Denis will try to do his tech magic. Voila. Next presentation for this evening, it's Shediac Downtown. They will present their budget for 2022. Good evening, ladies. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, councillors. I'm Annie Croix. I'm the treasurer at the board for the corporation, and I'm also manager for the Dixie Downtown. The chair, François Lebois, is sending his apologies for not being there. I'm with the Anne Maigrat. She's the director. Thanks to receive for having us this evening to present our operating budget for 2022. A special thank to the councillor, Mrs. Patricia Bourg-Savary, your former representative on our board. Thank you, Patricia. And we would like to welcome our new representative, Janice Cormier. Welcome. You all received the letter and the budget for 2022. I will leave the floor to Anne. Good evening, everyone. As Annick mentioned, you should all have received the document for the operating budget for the year 2022 for the improvement for businesses. As you probably know, we are legislated under provincial jurisdiction, and the municipality as to approve a budget for the next year. During our board meeting of August 24, we adopted our operational budget for 2022 for a grand total of revenue of $113,700 and with expenses for the same amount. We were informed by the province that we have and some businesses they asked for a tax a reevaluation of their tax bill, and it has an impact on their revenues for next year. For the year 2022, we estimated a loss of revenue for the administration zone. We estimated an amount of 100,000 because since we did not receive the assessment at from the Department of Finance, it's only an estimate. So the tax rate should remain the same. So 20 cents for each $100 evaluation. For 2022, we want to continue to encourage people to get downtown for leisure, to play and to shop. In preparation for 2022, the board of Centre-Ville Chediac Downtown Inc. asks you to approve our 2022 budget of $113,700. Do you have any question concerning our 2022 budget? Members of the council, do you have any questions? I know we're used to see your budget from year to year, so. In terms also of question, you were saying this year, it seems like a reduction in terms of revenues for the province because the evaluation of the buildings. What were your revenues from last year? Last year, like the year before that, for year 2021. So when we presented at the same time of the year, at the time we had budgeted an amount of 103,000, and when we received our numbers in January 2021, it was $101,496. So we estimate it was so the reduction would be maybe 1,400. So yeah, so it's a really nice downtown area. On my behalf and on the name of the board and of the director of Centre-Ville Chediac Downtown Inc., we would like to thank you for your collaboration to the corporation. Finally, thank you to the municipality of the town of Chediac. Have a good evening. Thank you very much. So the next, it's a longer presentation. It's for our it's a master plan for the four-season park. So this is from Viridis Design Studios. They're presenting the master plan.
So my name is Tina Beers, and I'm here representing Viridis Design Studio and the design team responsible for the four-season park master plan that I have the pleasure of presenting this evening. I believe everybody got a copy of the report to look at in advance. So there's a lot of material in there. Tonight I'm going to give an overview and try to run through it as quick as I can, recognizing you have a hefty agenda, so I'll do my best. So basically, I just want to touch on the background for the project, the engagement that was done in terms of community consultation, the plan itself, and then proposed implementation, which is really a proposition in terms of moving forward with next steps in implementation. So the background, as a lot of you know, there's been a fair bit of work that the municipality has done in the past, and a lot of that was the foundation for the master plan itself. So in 2016, the town purchased approximately 19 hectares of land. The piece of land is located on the south side of highway, on the south side of the highway, and it's it's connected by vehicle off of Riverside Drive and Lino Road right now. So currently, that's the piece of land that was slated. However, it has been identified that the northern part of that property may in the future become access ramps from the highway, so just something to be aware of in our planning process. And in 2019, it was identified in the Recreation Master Plan as an opportunity for a four-season park within the community. So in 2021, just recently, there's been a new parking lot that's been included in there in collaboration with the Trails Group locally. Checked it out again, it's quite nice, and it has a connection to the trails, so I think that's part of the plan, building on what's there. In March of 2021, our firm, along with Terminus, was engaged to prepare the master plan, and then it followed with community engagement and consultation sessions, which included online surveys initially in the project, as well as reaching out to stakeholders that were identified and working with the steering committee. So we visited the site, followed up through the engagement, and then developed the plan, and we're here tonight to propose the plan itself. So this is just a drone shot that we wanted to represent that the park is in the context of the community, but it is somewhat disconnected right now in terms of the trail connections from the north. It is, however, connected to the trails with the APA SOA, and I think there's a lot of opportunity there, as well as we'll touch on the shoreline trail that's planned to connect all the way from Alma all the way through to Capillet, with this as a very high potential for a gateway within the community. So again, I just wanted to touch on the fact that there are very good, strong opportunities to connect the park through trails for the residents, as well as for tourism opportunities. People from the wharf, from the Parley Beach, from the Big Lobster, just from the downtown. There are a lot of opportunities for connectivity all around. So the engagement process, I just touched on that quickly. We had an online survey that was done with the pandemic and trying to reach as many people as possible. Our consultant, as part of our subcommittee, or our sub-consultant, I guess, Terminus, has had a lot of positive feedback from online surveys, and your community was astounding. Almost instantaneously, we were getting feedback initially, and we ended with 761 responses from the first survey. Now, what we did initially was just to find out what people would like to see, if this was a four-season park, if it was a nature park, what the response would be. And overwhelming, they came back. I haven't seen a community come back with this many responses that fast, and neither had Jane. So overwhelmingly, sorry?
No problem.
It was great. We had identified a number of stakeholders, 9 of which responded. And of the feedback that we got, it was really a positive idea towards a nature park, towards outdoor recreation, which isn't surprising. With the pandemic, we've seen a lot of people buy bikes, buy snowshoes, buy skis, want to get outside, get in the fresh air. So they're looking for those opportunities year round. And 88% felt that walking and cycling was going to be the #1 type of recreational amenity. So I think we went down through and we put all the information in the back of the report, just so that you can see the feedback that did come through and the responses that we got. But the top 5 were walking, cycling, trails for snowshoes, picnic areas, a skating trail, and a natural playground. So those were the top ones when we combined the initial feedback. And that was essentially the basis for the plan. So when we get into the plan, we started to look at the opportunities and the constraints within the property itself in terms of creating a four-season park and a nature park, essentially. And the northern part, as you can see, we've identified as for more temporary infrastructure. Knowing that this will likely become off-ramps, it's not really where we want to put the most effort or the most infrastructure, and that's not what we're recommending at this time. But something like footpaths and snowshoe trails is something that can very much be accommodated within that space in the short term. So keeping most of the effort to the southern portion of the site, given that this is a nature park, we've identified what we're calling a managed buffer zone. And that's because the adjacent land is not part of the parkland and is not owned by the municipality. So keeping that look and feel really is important in terms of protecting that woodland buffer around the park and creating a hub. And building off the existing parking infrastructure that's there, we like to use infrastructure that's in place whenever possible instead of going back and duplicating. So that's one of the reasons, but that's also in proximity to where the shoreline trail is going to go, which makes it a really interesting gateway connection. So these are the opportunities and constraints that start to set up the plan. The one thing that did come back when we looked at the plan, but also came out of the consultation, is that the overall parcel is small. So right now, the opportunity for long trails that people are looking for really means that it needs to extend beyond the boundary of the park, either through collaborations and partnerships, or in the future, potentially looking at additional land acquisition to be able to grow the park. So this is what we're calling the hub in terms of the main area of the park. And this is where the bulk of the infrastructure is proposed. And of the uses that people are looking for, a multi-use building, things that have washrooms and amenities in terms of a recreational space was desirable. And we've proposed to keep that in proximity to the parking lot, but also have this create this park hub. So in this hub, it's a programmable space, but it's also a flexible space, and it would include outdoor recreation for all seasons. So the idea of a fire pit that can be a s'mores and a sing-along night in the summer, can be a winter spot to stop and have hot chocolate and music. It has the opportunity to have a very small skating rink. Natural playground was also one of the things that popped up and we feel fits in nice with a nature park. So the opportunity to provide a different offering opposed to what's in the town right now. So something with that theme fits into the space. All accessible. The terrain in this area is relatively flat, so accessibility should be something that can be allowed throughout the park. So within the main trail loop, that is something that can be accessible. The playground and the choice of materials can make that accessible. So I think it is really open to all ages and all levels of ability. The idea of having a rental location, a small little hub where snowshoe skis, if you've been to Fundy National Park, there was a lot of references to places like Kujibikwack and the idea of fat bikes. And right now there's a growing need for people to be able to rent equipment as opposed to buy their own equipment to try something, see if it's something that interests them, but it really does get activity going, gets people out there trying things and really promotes health and wellness. So there's an opportunity to link that into this location. Small things like wayfinding signage and arrival or something that would be part of the plan in the long term. And where you have about 20 vehicles right now, with the park as it grows, we would propose you expand parking as needed, but would encourage building the trail connections to the community before expanding parking. Getting that connectivity through cycling and walking really encourages people to get there in a more active way. But as the park potentially grows, there may be a need for parking, and we'd recommend it be in the same area, which keeps it away from the rest of the park so that you've got a bulk of land that you can maintain as natural. So this is just a bird's eye view to give the idea. A lot of talk in the consultation phase also came around green technology and green infrastructure, given that it's a nature park and there's a solar farm in proximity. So the idea of incorporating in things like composting toilets, stormwater management systems, solar panels into the facility is something that seemed to be of interest to the community, and encouraging any lighting to be solar, so that was really something that kind of went the whole way through the theme. In the winter, the idea that this space can still be very usable and can transform itself so that you do have activity year-round. The multi-purpose building is something that can act as a large picnic shelter. Picnicking was also something that was key. So I think the idea that you could have a place where people can stop, and given its proximity to the Gateway Trail, this is an ideal location for things like washrooms, showers, a stop to spot, eat, welcome into Shediac, or last thing that you see on your way kind of out of Shediac, depending on which way you're going on the Shoreline Trail. So we broke it down in terms of a variety of trails, both in the spring and in the winter, just to provide opportunities. A skating trail was something that was of interest, and we had proposed one of the loops. So all the trails essentially spoke out from this hub, so you have access to all of them. snowshoe trails, again, like we suggested, to the north right now, given that that area may have infrastructure in the future, and they don't require a lot of effort to get in there and snowshoe. But having the skate trail to the south is something, and including in a series of picnic shelters and gateways as it leaves the site connecting to other trails is something that we're proposing. Trying to reduce the amount of overlap in the trail use as much as possible. It is something that we're seeing when there's too many conflicting uses on a trail, there's just not enough space. And we certainly would like these, proposing them to stay more to the smaller size trail to protect the trees, to have it keep that feel of a nature park as opposed to a wide multi-use trail. So the proposed implementation, and I feel like I'm flying along here, so we've broken it into 3 phases. It certainly doesn't need to be 3 phases. It could be 5, it could be 10, it could be 2. It's one of those things that I think as funding and collaborations and partnerships present themselves. What we were proposing is that the consideration for land acquisition or a way to grow the park boundary is something to keep in mind as development around the park is proposed. Continuing to build partnerships to expand that connectivity and programming is certainly something that would happen ongoing as the park evolves. Phase 1 is where we were proposing the bulk of the infrastructure, just because that gives the meat to the park and it gives you the most flexibility in terms of offering a program or an opportunity. And one of the things that I think is important to note is we've proposed a building size. It doesn't mean that that building even needs to be all in one phase, but in looking at comparable projects and comparable sizes, we're proposing 1 structure as opposed to come back for 2. But the multi-purpose building, the outdoor gathering area, and a primary walking loop is something that we think is key in the first steps. Originally, we had also suggested brand development, looking at something like a logo and creating a buzz around what the park is and potentially a friends of group to help move the park forward and push that development. Phase 2, we were proposing that you could come back and further develop things like the natural playground and expand the trails. Also, a good opportunity to continue to connect to the trails and the active transportation plan within the municipality. Solar lighting, that might be a time as the park gets to be more used that you use that in the hub. Certainly don't need to see it everywhere through the park. Stargazing was surprisingly high in the proposed options the community would like to see. So ensuring dark skies and full cutoff and lighting is important, but also keeping the lighting to key areas of the park and not necessarily all throughout is something to keep in mind. Given that that was a top item. And then phase 3, I didn't speak about it much in the plan. We had an idea in discussion with the steering committee about how do we create something different within the park. It's a nature park, it's a good community park, but is there a way to bring something else in? And we had talked about an example I saw in Mont Tremblant, the illuminated forest walk idea, where they have a lot of artful pieces and they have music and they have lights. And it might be a way to work with local art organizations, theatrical organizations, and create interesting events that perhaps could be seasonal, that could be annually. Just the idea of bringing in a unique experience within the community that may tie into the local culture as well. So a storytelling opportunity, just the idea, but the infrastructure for that would be things like outlets or potentially sound, those types of things. So I think we're setting the stage. We aren't designing it. We're just saying we feel that there's opportunities to do something unique that could bring people. And it could be tied in with local craft beer and food and have an event and sell tickets, programming, or maybe it's just an open to the public. But we see the park as an opportunity to do a multitude of activities. And then you add your park shelters and your signage and you continue to build out the park, essentially. So a layered approach, and that's 3 major chunks. Cost estimates are quite magnitude of cost right now, given that it's still a master plan, and as the design gets refined, there's opportunities to clearly break those down into more specific numbers, but magnitude of cost. And that's a really quick overview of the past couple of months. I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure to work with the town, with Denis, with Jonathan, with Mireille, Councillor Boudreau. It's been a great experience, and we're just very pleased with the public in terms of their responses. Obviously, everybody is not always 100% excited, but overall astounding, really positive feedback, and I think it could be a great opportunity for the town.
Well, thank you for the presentation. It's always fun to imagine what
Yes.
could be, and whatnot. And
Yes.
although we're for a park, I suppose, depending on the aim of the park or the goal of the park, 19 hectares apparently is small, in a sense. But for that
Yes.
type of a project, yes.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can see that. So, there's room to grow,
Absolutely.
in terms of it's there. Est-ce qu'il y aurait des questions de la part des membres du conseil?
Questions from the members of the council, comments? If not,
Thank you.
Intéressant.
thank you very much, Denis. And next item on the agenda, we had a request last minute from Mr. Willie Alain to address the council. Good evening, sir. Good evening. My name is Willie Alain. I'm mayor of the La Bature Street for some people. Anyway, if most of you, there's a guy with gray hair like myself every morning from Wilson's to the bridge, both sides of the road, with like I'm picking up garbage every day, 7 days a week, like in the wintertime when it's not. This guy is Dave King, and he lives to 86 Grand Prix Street. I have his phone number. I know that Mr. Cormier gives $20, but I don't know if the town would do it like this. This guy should have like some kind of a plaque, or because there's a lot of garbage like on those two sides of the road, and he does it like every day. I see him every day. But I would say, well, I'll go to the council and maybe someone could call him or send him a big thank you note or give him a plaque or something. But first agenda, it's a good action, as I would say. Good deed. So the second one, I live on the drag strip. I went to the office last year. I spoke to Raymond Cormier, and I spoke twice to the bylaw officer. I spoke to Janice Cormier. I spoke to 3 RCMPs. There's someone who will be killed on this street, on my street. And I think Mike Rogers called you like about the famous blue truck on Centennial Street. He told me he spoke to you. So the famous blue truck. It's a diesel, and he likes to ram this up. He's making, yeah, he mentioned a truck that was making a lot of noise. The stop sign, like Aurel Cormier, La Bature, remove it. If the police were there, they could make $2,000 a day. Nobody stops him. So I have a guy like I'm a patient guy, but a two-part with spike, it can hit really hard. It can slow somebody down. So I'm asking you, what will you do or not do? I'm just fed up. It's not only me. They wanted to have a pass a petition on. Yeah, I have a big mouth sometimes. I told them it has to stop. I don't know what will happen. We never see a police officer on the street. last Friday, there was a guy that was drunk driving a Corvette, and they caught him. So something has to be done because someone will be hurt, and it's not only on my street. According to Tipperary, it's the same thing, very same. What you want to do? It would be appreciated. Thank you very much. It's always something that comes back. Several places cars and trucks speed up, and we know it's not tourists doing this. We know it's people from our community, or people who come to visit people in our community. It's a combination of the two. So it's something like our protection committee. We're meeting this week, so it's something we see, like once the protection committee meet, like the RCMP is there, firefighters, and we also look at several report, either like or if it's anecdote, if there's a speed on some spot, and we do also spot, we do verification with the radars that indicate the speed. So there is some data, like when they're installed, so it gives us a good indication how fast they're growing and if they follow the speed limit or not. So at least it gives you some data to work with. And it's one of the things, like I heard a lot, like during the election campaign, and I got a couple of calls from others. Councillor Sylvie, thank you very much for your words. I agree, with your idea for individual, helping on a volunteer without any. I think there's two guys in the municipality. I think it would certainly be good, to mention one way or the other. Even they're not doing it they're doing it for free, for speed, as I said. But our signs, and Paul, I know you're on the protection committee. I don't know who else is part. Emil. So the radars, the sign. So then it's in the report, right? I included this in an emails. Is it something that could be shared, even if it's just like the main line? Because a lot of people ask us why we see them. I know, they are there for a little while, and then after we just turn them on, and we've been using them for several years. We never saw any data. I would like to be able to say, they're not there for nothing. I found it useful, but I'm there and I will defend the town. But we do not have the data showing this. Is it a perception of the speed? Is it only Friday nights? We do not have this information. If it's true, the councillors will represent the committee, well, but I would like also, because I need to answer some citizen, and I know we have the ARFAM program. We'll talk also as a councillor to get this data, so I don't know. It would be useful for all the board members to know. We could explain that here are the data, so at least the main, every time we move it, yes, we'll keep them, but. So the question has been ongoing since the last time I came. I would really appreciate this, and we could at least answer a guy like that came in. We could be able to discuss, and with this report, it's also to give it to the police officers, because so they are aware of what's going on. We do not see them, but they are somewhere. They have to. How much does it cost? Maybe there's not enough for the town of Shediac. Mr. Com, thank you. It's not an attack, but no, I answered your email concerning this. We will present it to the safety committee, so we're prepared the results. So, because our we put it last year, the easement of the circulation, and it's on the website, so they can see this. After this policy, we put 5 studies per year because it takes time and effort from our team also to install some signs, collect the information, and so we did 5 street this summer, and we have the results, and we will present it tomorrow at the at the safety committee. Not tomorrow, Wednesday. And also after each month, each month, it's like 1 month per station to collect the information. So once we get the result, after we send it like to the RCMP so they can see the result. And if they see a certain pattern, we're seeing like every month it's sent to the RCMP. So this year we did like the Chesley, we did English, we did the Riverside Street. I think we did La Beau Bridge. The Beau Bridge was done last year, so I think it was there too. So we only put there this year. It's not to study. It's just to just a notice. So when we do a study, we put them side by side with the information. So the committee could report on this, and certainly if you have any question, we can share this information. It's just a main. I do not want like a 48 pages report. Like, thank you very much. And I apologize, I did not understand the message properly. Councillor Emile. Yes, it's just to mention the other subject, like the Mr. David King. It's true, like what he's saying. It's up. I see him like do this, and I called him many times. I met him, and the reason he does it is because he loves the town of Shediac, and if possible, I think we'd like to mandate the administration to buy him a plaque, and to thank him for the great work he's doing. He really likes the town of Shediac. He wants it to be clean. He means well. He does it out from the goodness of his heart. He's a unsung hero. Thank you. Perfect. Councillor Jeanne, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to say thank you to Willie on behalf of the street to talk to the problem. I can support what Willie is saying because I live the famous blue truck and the famous speed. I would like to confirm, Mr. But that it was put on the agenda like of this week for the problem on La Bature Street. For the safety committee meets on Wednesday and on the agenda, so they will have some discussion for La Bature Street. So, okay, so we'll see what happened. Councillor Patricia and Councillor Germain. It's just to add also the same thing. So he calls me on a regular basis, and sometimes it's complaint. I did not want to file an official complaint in the system, so I send a few like to Mr. Bello because he noticed he sees some things like even here, and I thank him very often for his volunteer work. Thank you very much. Councillor Germain, could we put a radar like on La Bature Street? It's a problem. So maybe it's where the problem is. It should be, or no? So we were told like on Sébastien Street. We're called we're called everywhere to put install radar. I'm not convinced. We cannot study like all the streets like because we said 5 streets to do the study, and then we would leave them there as a visual, as a notice. On Sébastien Street we put up because we got a lot of complaints there with the construction. We put them there, so I'm not convinced. Sometimes we want to raise this car, like even if they see the sign, there's a sign, sorry, I can only go 50. I think they will still raise, like no matter what. So, okay, that's good. Thanks, Germain. Councillor Janice, thank you very much. So the Sébastien Labattu, I think Labattu has been for several years. Like some requests were sent to the town. I would like to say like we really would like Labattu has to be done maybe quicker. Thank you. All these are good discussion. Thank you. So next item, correspondence. So Mr. General Manager, the first correspondence comes from the Corporation Centre-Ville, Chair François Leblanc. In the presentation explained earlier, it's the presentation of their budget. So we had the resolution on page 85, 86 to adopt the budget. Councillor Janice, if you could read budget 2020 for Centre-Ville Chediac downtown, whereas the municipal council received like the operating budget for Centre-Ville Chediac downtown in order to adopt it, be it resolved like the clerk on behalf of the council to publish with the prescribed delay like by Article 4.2 on the Act for the Zone of Business Improvement. So the deadline to receive any written objective to the budget is established on October 25th, 2021. Moved by Councillor Janice Cormier, seconded by Councillor Jean Mengal. Question on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye, against nay. Motion carried. Next, it comes from Mrs. Paulette Leblanc from Chediac Paddle Shop concerning the rent for the year 2021. Mrs. Leblanc mentioned like the challenges she had with the pandemic this summer, and especially the construction at the park, Rotary Park. So she's asking the council to see what kind of rebate reduction of her rent at the park, Rotary for this summer. I know like last year, like we granted like a 25 reduction for all the renters. And the reason being was it the construction? And the park was not as available. It was not open as long. Because of the pandemic, we opened later. And they started it was mostly because of the pandemic. So I think we give the deduction to all the renters. Councillor Emile, for her request, I prepare something for it. So I read her document, and I read what I decided concerning like Paulette Leblanc's request, operator of Chediac Paddle Shop, Rotary Park, for her reduction of her rent. First, I said yes, like the council should consider her request because the construction site, Omarus, could have a negative impact on her sales and of land. So I read again like her document, and she's mentioning one of the paragraph like her business did really well in August. And when the province opened to Quebec, it made a positive difference in August. So what indicates like the construction site with the site Omarus was not the real reason for the reduction in June and July. And since the other operators of Parc Rotary did not submit a similar request, I would say I didn't find it was not the site construction that was at stake. It was more or less the weather. As much as I would like to support the Chediac Paddle Shop to reduction of their rent, I understand like elements of nature like low tide, rain days, and high winds. They have a negative impact on the business, but the nature weather events like they have to work with this impact. It's not. In conclusion, to avoid creating a precedent concerning like the rent of the park or Rotary Park, I have to act in favor of this. So I will not be able to support this rent reduction. So I shall move I move to deny this request. Thank you, Councillor. So do I have someone to second it? Mr. Substitute Mayor, to refuse like the no rebate. Questions on the motion, Councillor I have no problem to support her request. So we went through that in front of the site. It was a construction site, maybe not 50%. The strategy we had in 2020, I think it was 25%, Denis. I would have no problem to help our operators, like the same amount it was in, similar to what was in 2020. I did not support this one. So I would, in respect, Emile. Councillor Patricia, thank you. I know we do not have finance director in that room, Mr. Bello Medeni. What budget did we take it from last year? It was a revenue budget, like tourism. So every year, like we receive like 40,000. It's not really an expense, like our revenues were reduced before because of this. So I think I would agree to support the same amount as last year. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'm between the two because Councillor Boutreau and Councillor O'Brien, do we have any amounts? So if we give a rebate of a percentage, or if we, with all the businesses around, like what would be the total cost? So if we were to give to list a percentage, so what would be the cost? We would have to check, like, because it's all contract, like they have those 5 renters. We would have to check, like, what would be what 25% would be the equivalent of. There is one shop that is bigger than the others. Actually, it's 2 stories, so it's more square feet, so the rent is higher. So the amount would be greater than the others. So we get granted like a percentage, 8,000. We could check and then come back on this subject another evening. Either we give the rebate today or in a few weeks. Well, I have the substitute mayor. The reason I support the motion is of Councillor Emile. First, well, is the person made adjustment with the staff. I know, like, she had several staff, and the other thing is the weather also played was a major factor in July, because it was not always nice during the weekend. It's when she's most busy. And the store that opened on Main Street, they sell kayaks, so they sell kayaks, and of course, like, he probably got a part of the business in Pointe du Chêne. They rent kayak, Sea-Doos, and a lot of people went there this year. Any other businesses also did not apply. And when I went by, we added some parking, and they opened a little bit later. So I was there one day to visit the area, and so people were coming. They were not open yet, so maybe they could have opened a little bit earlier, and they could get help from government to help pay for the salaries. I think they might have 1 or 2 employees they could apply for to pay, like, the pay difference. So that's why if we go forward, well, is it something will happen? There's also the merchant downtown. They pay taxes all year round or in their business. They were in the same situation, so the weather impacted them too. So that's why we did it last year. I understand very well, and I agreed. But this year, so that's why. So maybe if you have a hard time, you will do the adjustments. Okay, that's why. So for the rent for Rotary Park in 2021, we estimated like 41,800, and we only had like 28,000. So I think the difference was the rebate we give them. In 2020, they were $28,600. Thanks you for your information. On this subject, we have a responsibility. So, well, if they were not, it was not their fault if we did some constructions, I would agree, like, to give the same amount as last year. While notifying them is because of the construction. It's not because of weather or anything else. It's because of the construction going on. And of course, like with by building Omaris also, it had an impact on businesses. So some were impacted less than other, but as a renter, we have a responsibility because we impacted like the businesses, and we have our share of responsibility. And I would support that we give them the same amount as last year, with a support letter saying it's because of this, and next year. So the construction is scheduled to be done at the beginning of June 2022. Thank you, Councillor Peter. Councillor Janice and Councillor Emile. Thank you, Mr. So last year, the percentage was 35%, no, 25%. How did you come up with this amount? Was it because of the pandemic? Yes. It was discussion at the board level. On this note, I think so. The site was not accessible for maybe at the beginning part of the summer, and they had to open later. So I think, yeah, I think they were not open as I understand the 25%, but this year. So I agree for construction, but I don't know if I'd go to 25%. But last year with COVID, they were not able to open as long. It was more limited. But I think this year they could open right from the beginning. So maybe I would leave it at a percentage, but not the 25%. I have the mover. We asked to talk again. So I have my deputy mayor who's asking to talk again. So if you want to add anything else, I will ask you. If not, we will vote. No, it's just, I just wanted to mention that if we do it for one operator, we'll have to do it to the other operators. So the operators did not ask a reduction of their rent. So why would we? Why it would create a precedent? So next year will be the same thing. They will ask production, because if we really think about it, it's not really the construction like because they have less business. It's because of the weather, like wind, low tides. It's something you have to work with. Like these are elements they have to deal with. For the type of business, well, that one of the reason I do not want to create a precedent. So, and the fact like the other operators did not submit a similar request. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Just a question. So this year we had the construction, but we still put the three trailers. So how did it go for them? The three little trailers, they were happy with their summer. It was a good experience. We have a motion on the table to deny the request to the pedal shop. So it was moved by Councillor Emile and seconded by the Deputy Mayor Jean-Claude Berthet. So if you want to deny it, vote yes. If you want to consider another option, vote against. So it's clear. So all those in favor of denying the request signify of saying aye. 3 yes, 3 aye. To deny the request. 0 discount. 2 yes. All those against? So the rest of the members vote. So the motion is defeated. So if you want to do another motion, I'm ready to accept it. If not, at least we had the information, so it gives us an idea. And would another council member do another motion? Council Lucy? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With the numbers we got from the administration, I move that to give a rebate of 25% to this to this request, and that we do a refund by request. So we receive a request. We deal with that one. If we receive a request from other businesses, we'll do the same. But I don't think we should chase them like. And if you have any requests, we will address them individually and add because of the construction. Moved by Councilor Civical and seconded by Paul Boudreau. Understood. For a rebate for Shediac paddle shop only. The others will be, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. 2 nays. Adopted. Thank you very much. Next correspondent, page 88. It comes from our fire chief, Mr. Donald Cormier. He's asking the council to accept the nomination of the volunteer firefighters. We have 5. Christian Kelly, Jordan Kenny, Colin Robichaud, Marc Doiron, and Caleb Gautreau. We need a resolution. Councillor Paul, I would ask you to make the motion. Moved by Councillor Paul. I don't know if I have support. You move, yeah. I shall move to have those 5 applicants. Moved by Councillor Paul Bouteau, seconded by Councillor Germaine Galland. All those in favor signify saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. Page 8990. It says information. It's a resolution from the Regional Service Commission for the nomination of the Councillor Patricia Bourg-Chevary at the Planning and Review Committee of the Town of Shediac. And the first meeting of the Councillor Bourg-Chevary was this evening. Page 91. It's a sponsor request. It comes from Mr. Omer Boudreau. He's from the ATV Counter-Wheelers. It's concerning like a bridge project on Scodoc River. It's a request for the clock for 7% of the project. A contribution of $20,000. Councillor Sylvie. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had discussed it briefly like last Monday, at the plenary meeting. To start the discussion, I propose that we accept, I move that we give like $20,000 in sponsorship for this project. Since it's a good project and it will bring ATVs in our municipality, and it helps also with the economy of the municipality. It's a motion. Do I have someone to second the motion? So Councillor Germaine seconds. Councillor Paul, I have no problem with this. It's a great project. So since we're not aware, like Réjean is not like a situation. It's a project from the council. So if possible, and if you agree, Sylvie, we'll take 10,000 in 2021 and the rest in 2022. 10,000, if it's possible. Like I have no problem, but I'm not sure like with the project. The sponsorship, I think you all allocated, but you added like additional funds for the city hall, town hall project, so. And there's still some funds left for the security recovery, so. I think for the lobster festival, you took an amount from that fund, like 20,000. I think there's still an amount. You have a resolution for another amount we took from this fund. I would recommend to take it to the safety fund because that's what the province wanted this money to use for these type of activities. Because you have no money left in the sponsorship fund. Thanks for the motion. I support this, but I would add after like the department collaborates closely with the ATV club for signage. And also, I would like the neighboring community be aware of of the contribution like Beaubassin is, because they will also benefit from this infrastructure structure. It's not only us like the ATV club, but they have to know like the decision like those who brought the other governments for this project. The project also with the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce fully supported this project. Thank you. Councillor Peter, I would like to make an amendment like so that the amount of $20,000, so 15,000 be given for the bridge and the extra the 5,000 be allocated for to to bring like the ATV downtown. Councillor Boudreau mentioned it last year. It's important for the town to benefit for the infrastructure. So I would like to see an amount that out of this 20,000 to go towards like a system to attract like ATVs downtown. It's an acceptable amendment. It's the same amount. It's just divided differently. So you dedicate one amount for a specific I would need a seconded for the amendment. It's 15,000 plus 5. 15 plus 5 plus a 5. We could do it if the mover and seconder are okay with it. We could amalgamate it with the initial motion. Just do one vote instead of two. So it was moved by. Is 15,000 for 15,000 for the bridge? And 5,000 next year for the signs. 15 and 5,000. I agree. Maybe half for this year, half for next year. So the initial mover and the seconder, they agree with the amendment. So we will incorporate it like in the main motion. Other question, Councillor Janice. So the Councillor Brose, is it promotion or signage? It's the same. It's the same. What's important is to have this traffic to bring people downtown. So I think if for our citizen, we have to tell our citizens why we support this project is to attract them here. Thank you. Councillor Emile, yes, thank you. I agree with all of this, 15,000 and 5 years, 5,000 after. It was also to, what we could do, it would be conditional to a signage. So it's done like the trails. It's to encourage like the trail users and put a condition before we give the funds. And have thereby adopted the motion, it limits to 15,000 for the bridge construction. And if you do not want the 5,000, like to do the signage, well, they won't have it. It's as simple as that. So like just to make sure like I understood well the resolution, we're talking a 15 amount for bridge for 2021 and a 5,000 amount for the promotion 2022. That's, it's not 10 and 10, no, it's 15 and 5. All those in favor signify say aye. Against nay. Adopted. Next correspondence, page 95, comes from Mrs. Vicky Bedivo. She's Maritime Assistance Canines. It's a request we had in the past. And we confirmed, like, I think we gave a basket with different promotional items from the town. That's what we did the last time. So if the council would like to support this initiative. Councillor, thank you. Absolutely. I think we should support this request with this item similar to like promotional items from the municipality for the canine assistance moved by Councillor Boudreau and then seconded by Councillor Cormier. All those in favor saying aye. Question him. I just wanted, what are the items we give? Just an example. I think it's water bottles and like reused bags and with Eco 2020, yeah, vision or something. Coffee cups. We have several little items. All those in favor saying aye. Against name. Carried. Next, page 94, it comes from AML Homes concerning 2 refund requests for storm laterals. You remember, like in August, you passed like a motion to support a similar request. So the first request, it was we're aware like that it was 30,475,000, but yes, it's going based on it's quite far in the past, and it's not something we can check. It's when Mark was not even in the same. I did not hear anything at the time, like so requests that were done for refunds similar to this one. For the first one, we have no problem. We will treat them separately anyway. For the first request, that's for the is for 2 spots for a street, the Forest Street. Would I have a motion? Moved by Deputy Mayor Jean-Claude Bertin, seconded by Peter Bro. Then it's a refund for $2,478.68. Question on the motion. All those in favor saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. For the next motion, like the number on Felix Street, there are several, but it's always the same rate. Like, I think it's $1,200 per installation, so it adds up. I think it gave an amount of $33,475.63. So for this one, we heard the comment from the administration. Any questions? If not, I would need a motion one way or the other. Councillor, missed question, comment. So last week, you had mentioned these were lateral storms that were not installed. Storm lateral would have been done maybe by 2019 or 2020 when it was not Mark was not there at the time. So I thought like you added. Maybe it's not even it was not discussed there. Correct me if I'm wrong. We all agreed to do the refund of recent things for this year. So the one for last year, well, they didn't count. Would not be granted. So will there be any surprises if we denied it? Will it create like a bottleneck will it create another conflict for something else? It's all case by case, so we process the requests as we receive them, so if it, so we have nothing to support this, so in that sense. So in the past, when was it requested for houses, or was it for townhouses or single family dwellings? We never had any requests for those. For new, we got some, and so these are laterals, storm laterals that were installed. So for townhouses, and it's not necessary because there's no basement. So that's why. So perfect. Thanks for the question. I know the developer is here. Okay. Yes and no. Yeah. I have a motion like to grant. I have no motion on the table right now, so I have no motion. So we will leave it for now. Thank you. Next item. And number 8, the financial report. From page 98, I need a motion. Moved by Councillor Germain that the financial report are adopted as presented. Seconded by Councillor Emile. All those in favor saying aye, against nay. Motion carried. Do you have any questions in the financial report? Councillor Paul, just a couple of questions. Maybe the director in page 108. Under special project, I was looking, maybe the Rotary Park, 40,000 and 89,000 invested in this project. Did we get a grant like for the balance, the rest of the 40,000, or which one? Special projects like item 28285, page 108. At the beginning of Denis, I will go by memory, but I think there were some funds to be received, some receivable, but I think I would have to check before I can come back with an answer. The other, I know we received like some funding from at the time, and for the town hall. Do we have other answers like for these projects? Page 109, like item 2899. They will have a couple of expenses like for legal advice, but for Spitfire I did not receive anything. Thank you, Gilles. And the last one on this item was the nature park. Was it the same? It was 28262 in the project to invest 60,700. It's the aqua funding and also funding from the province. So the money comes from other sources. Two other items, Gilles, for the checks. A check from for $1,500, 3,500. So this is a refund. We are asking for a deposit. These are connection. So in this case, like the person connected, so, and another big amount, like Peach Marketing, I hope it's page there in Dieppe. Perfect. Protection services, policing services. So we give a report every 3 months. So that's is a way to report facts and statistic. And for fire services, we have it on page 126. So come to the point. Thanks, Mr. Fire Chief. So now I was looking at your report, and it's very detailed. And thank you, like what you went through over the last couple of months. You're very dedicated because of the help also. You have your breakdown, so except like mutual help with other documents. So the other calls shouldn't be like in the fire services. We see like counted for to help the false alert, like wouldn't be like the neighboring firefighters outside the town to help the firefighters. Maybe I'm wrong, but we have a territory to cover, so that's if it's Boudreaux West, so yeah, it's us. We have a territory to cover, so that's what I wanted to know, like, because there's a lot of yeah. Thank you, Donald. Thank you very much. Next item, like the construction permits, is from 128. So the director, if we have any questions, he was not there the last time. He was looking for a few things. And we still see like the building permits, like it's up until the end of August. At 36 million and $500,000, something we've never seen before. So we're close to October. It still goes on, continues, like if I remind well. Next item, the executive director report. Quickly, I would like to remind the council and the public that the dates for the budget discussion, there is a resolution. It's 12, 13, and October 18. If necessary, it will be done here from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And there's a protocol in place also for, and we need because of the COVID, so they have to confirm their presence. There are two other points I would like to bring. We are starting the hiring process for the finance director position. So we're hoping to have a new person in place for 2020, beginning of 2022 at the latest. The work, like you had to pass like a resolution to capital borrowing corporation. We deferred it to October because we want to bring the recommendation, because we received like a grant of from the federal provincial for the West Main Street. We would like to do another sequence like in front of from Chesley in front of the town hall, would be including the project, so we could keep the numbers. So the 7.4 million we would get borrowing. It's a interim because we would not borrow the whole amount, because the federal and the provincial government would help us, but we have to fund the project from the beginning before we get before we get the refund from the federal and provincial. So we're looking from their recommendations, and by October we should have additional amounts. And we will start in October modification to the procedural bylaw to allow like the council like to hold 3 meetings instead of 2 meetings. So what we recommend also for meetings. So that's what I had for you this evening. Councilor Emil, just a quick question for the work to be done on West Main Street. The extra it will not affect like the English or Grand Prix Street in 2022, 2020. We want to do like Main Street would be the section we will do like, and in 2023 we consider doing English and Dupuy Street. And let the market talk to you is more. And Grand Prix. No, the Louis Bourg will not do it. English and Grand Prix is part. I think that, so no, it's not. It was the original plan, so we go with the original plan. So and we're adding another part of Main Street because we had the discussion and with the IBA, like we did not have the pavement for Main Street, and I think some council members said we should do it. So we will add this amount. Once we're done, well, we'll have everything done. So we will not have to go back because the side was there's still the west side of Main Street, so they're still in a reasonable, decent shape. So thank you very much. So this evening, we have no recommendation for the Regional Service Commission. Number 11, unfinished business, Councillor Sylvie. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we discussed on Monday at the plenary meeting, I propose that we add to the administration mandate to add to the mandate of the consult for the location to look at other options like for short-term rent. Because the first proposals were adopted in August, it only mentioned like 290 Main Street. But if we want the consultant to look wider, in my opinion, we should add it so he can continue his work. And the reason I'm saying, and I think it's important to put it, is as discussed in our plenary meeting on Monday night. Maybe mention the September 21st, so add the date, maybe because it's only to negotiate a lease here, but it's to negotiate a lease. If they cannot negotiate it, maybe to look at other options, to have the additional mandate to look at other options. So it's better to put options, yes. Please. Moved by Councillor Sylvie, seconded by question of the motion. Mr. Deputy Mayor. Councillor Patricia. When mentioned at the plenary meeting, we did not give a date to present his report. We did not say like maybe mid or end of October. So he doesn't come to us on December 1st and he did not negotiate anything. So if Councillor Sylvie is okay, like to add a date, it should be mid-October. And me to consider before the budget discussion. October 14. To review the budget for 2022. So that is the goal. So you can come back with options. So on the motion, with the all those in favor signify by saying aye, against nay, adopted. had like the deputy mayor, the councillor Paul. So I would like to bring Mr. Emery Landry also. I would like to add it to the agenda for the next meeting. We can certainly look at this situation, bring the facts and data and the history of this. At least he spoke to us 2 or 3 times. So moved by Deputy Mayor Monsieur Bertin and seconded by Councillor German. Question on the motion. Paul, Patricia, was it for this or something else? Perfect. All those in favor saying aye, against nay. Adopted, carried. Councillor Paul. Yeah. A new business. I have a couple of items. So the public meeting and the news. I don't know if the committee for the multi-purpose center is because of the recognition plaque. Also, they put in front of the building. Could you remove it? So we find a spot, but more appropriate. So, but I went this year, the other, not the founders, but people who put their efforts, like to build a multi-purpose center, like a couple of years. So they were like a bucket. It almost looked like a tombstone, like. So I would like for it to be put like maybe higher, so to recognize the effort that was put into it. I don't know if the council agrees. Yes, we will look at it. I know it's a challenge, like because that plaque is quite heavy. So I'm not thinking to do this tomorrow morning, but maybe. And there's also a committee for the center. Is there maybe a storage being built on Maple Street and Saint-Anne Street, because they put they seem to they store like material like behind. Is there a storage being built there, or are we talking about a vacant land? No, there is no storage there, but the council took a decision, like the former council took a decision not to allow not to use this land for storage or anything else. So, and a letter was sent or will be sent by our lawyer. And there was also a development project that, but if it's a case, I have no problem, but we'll notify like the owner there's nothing that can be stored there. So if the storage is associated with the development, I have no problem, but if it's something else, well, no, it will not supposed to start. It was there for the PRAC committee for a little variance, but I don't think it will start tomorrow or next week. I think that the request, like the lease of the ice also, like for the women hockey. So was there any discussion with other renters? I know it's so difficult. Like I lived it also to have compromises with the Ringuette or a women's hockey league. Mr. Mayor, we were looking at option to offer other hours. So we're working in that file, and I had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Book on the phone, and I understand this idea. And and I was the same situation like in the minor soccer, having a team with only girls. We have to do this as much as possible. So I know like Denis was working to find a solution. The other one was for the lobster festival in my career as the community service, and I organize a lot of festival like in community gatherings. Some were popular, some were not, some were good, some were less good. I could say like I attended several activities to the recent lobster festival, and that's the best lobster festival ever. The festival has all the components for success and to please to people, like a various many activities for families. They use the municipal infrastructure, and I would like to congratulate and thank like the volunteers, Pascal, Germaine, Patricia, and Jonathan Mireille, and the town staff. It was excellent. So what we receive. Thank you. I think all the council member reiterate, so I think it was a tremendous success. I did not spoke to one person who had didn't have like a good comment. You chose the right weekend. The weather was great. Then you like with the signage on the a bicycle trade. Do you intend like to add the speed limit? I know Moncton Dieppe have a speed limit. I know it's very difficult to enforce, but at least people could refer like 15 kilometers per hour. Is it something you intend to do, like to put some speed signs? Because it will be discussed at the protection. No, not for this year, but we had. It's an item we could see the cost and bring it. Yes, if we need money for next year, well, the other Germain lives in my same neighborhood as I do. I found it so ugly, like the apartments on Shore Street, Weldon Street, and Como Street. The apartment puts like some waste bins, like it would like the garbage is at the curbside like for 7 days. I don't know if there's a regulation, but the citizen I saw it and I find it very ugly. Like for such a nice town like ours, like they are allowed to put it like at the curbside. I don't know with this winter with the plow, and I don't know if this bin could be moved. Maybe it's something we should be looking at, like about you go down the street and you see 7, 8 like bins and it's full like, and they put so on Wednesday morning, and then the bin is there until the following Tuesday. It looks like almost like a dump. Like I don't know if it's something we could look at as a council here. So this is my comment on garbage. Is it new or has it been going on for years? It's been for 2 3 months. The beginning of the summer they put those. I know there's a, a a rule for apartment buildings. But Mark, did you have something you wanted to add? Yes, I can comment on this aussi. Our bylaw says you're not supposed to have permanent bins like at the curbside of your property. No, you're not supposed to. So, so these apartments is less units and a bylaw allows to pick up to do a garbage pickup. But I think before they were taking care of their own garbage, but and they realized they would do it when the municipality could cover these expenses. So they added those bins, garbage bins. So what happened if we enforce our bylaw, we have to do it everywhere in town. So it was adopted over the year, and that the Melissa like counted like I think there are 60, 70 all over the municipality that was accepted over the years. It was never enforced. So we have to be fair. If we decide like to uh, if we require them to follow the bylaw, we'll have to notify like to have bin or garbage boxes at the at the curbside of their property. They would not be allowed to put that anymore. So it would be a discussion to have. In the rural areas, they have wheels, so the garbage they put it there. So at least it's not there like. So now our bylaw kind of protects us. It is noted. Thank you, Councillor Paul. Anything else? The other thing for Airbnb, I would like before like you can mandate like Jonathan is responsible for tourism to do what Mr. Landry like to do like an inventory of our Airbnb at least to prepare before the meeting. So Jonathan is good to do something like that. Do you agree, Jean-Claude? And the last one, okay, the sidewalk on Bow Bridge. Will they start on it, or as I mentioned, like in the plenary meeting, there was about a 3 week delay, and I saw that they started today. So no, I wasn't there. So there were some signs, like the works were being done. No, that's all, Mr. Mr. Mayor, and thank you, council members, for your patience. Councilor Patricia. I will not repeat like what Councilor Paul said. For Lobster Festival, we just got compliments. We had a major grant from Heritage Canada this summer, so I don't know what the decision will be. Well, we will go for next year if it will be redone or not. These are discussion like the committee of the festival will have to have, and I would like to suggest we could maybe allow a budget for this activity next week, because if the committee decides to go forward with this. Mr. Bello, we can ask like to put money. Anytime we're there, so I will send you an email this evening. And my second subject, it was concerning like the pesticide spraying. I got a couple of correspondent from a citizen, and she asked me where the discussion were at. We said we would be looking into this. I said like the committees are put in place, but I don't know if the environment committee met. I said I would bring it like for discussion, and we would study the situation. And one of the part also in the mandate letter I gave you at the beginning of the meeting for the environment committee address essentially this issue. In terms like the committee have to determine what is the jurisdiction of the municipality, what we can do, what we can't do. I discussed it with the Mrs. I admire like his passion, but yes, it has to be done sooner than later. It's something that starts like in the fall. Thank you very much. Councillor Germain. And I have Sylvie and Peter. Same thing. Okay. So you send the same message. Councillor Sylvie, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I almost forgot to thank everyone from the municipality who helped us Saturday to decorate for the fall. Once again, we only get compliments how it's nice and how it's nice to see like the participation of the people, and it's great also to pick different person every year. It encourage them like they might come back. So we have youth group and also older people. We have different people, all kinds of people, and thank you very much to Denise, Mireille, and Jonathan's team, and the guys who prepare and distributed like the pumpkins, like the hay. We will have some hay blocks. They will be colored. They will be painted by Marc Doiron. They were delivered today, so I think Marc will start his work within the next few days. Once again, thank you. Thanks to the team. Thanks to all the people who participated, and see you next year. Councillor Peter, it was concerning the pesticides. So I just wanted to make sure, with we mandate like the environment committee to study the situation and come back with recommendation. And it was mandated by the council in April, and then we had the election. So a couple of things. And I think perfect. Thank you very much. 12.1, 12.2, so we have the multi-sport area. So we have a resolution at 15.3 concerning like the same we discussed at the plenary last week. You need additional funding for. We will mention it at 15.3. And 12.2 is it's a refund request by the multi-purpose center. And then he can give you the detail. It was for COVID. So when we put the item also, we only had one request. Now there are two. So at the beginning, we had one for a multi-purpose center for a refund because either like the person were not vaccinated, so they had a lower participation because of the vaccination. So that's why we added it on the agenda to have the discussion with you to see what they saw last summer. Do we refund or what do we do with these? So because it's exceptional, those conditions are nobody's fault. And it's not, I mean, from our resort. So, and since the change of the family bubbles, there's another mandate. So the rooms have to be reduced capacity. I think now, like, let's say for a wedding, they can only have like 125 instead of 300. So I just wanted to have the discussion. So in the past, like when there were some restriction, we had to refund. But I think with vaccine, and because it didn't have the vaccine, it was different. So we just wanted to see with you if you're comfortable, like the refund or we do not refund. So what would you like us to do with these? These are restriction. Public health and provincial government is imposing for good reasons. I mean, it's not great, but other than this, well, the event would be held, or the events would be held as present. It could be one night, could be a wedding, meetings to me. I have no problem. It's not. It's not the person who made who made the reservation. It's not their fault. I mean, they do not have a choice. They cannot hold that event, or if the event, I need 200 people to make a profit, and I would have like 1/3 of this. So just an example like this. I might be exaggerating, but numbers I can understand. Like it's not their fault. It's not our fault either, but it's the pandemic's fault. We can blame probably the pandemic for anything else. I have two Councillor Sylvie. Thank you, Councillor Paul. Are you looking for a motion to continue, or is it clear like you will be continuing? So the refund policy and the rates belongs to us. So I move that we do refund for the multipurpose center as long as the province, as Mayor said, as long as it's not a personal request, it's a request is mandatory by the province. And I think instead of Denis and his employee, they always have to question themselves if the person does not allow us to continue, they have to cancel, we have to refund them. So when it will be mentioned, when those restrictions are lifted would be different, but as long as they stay, well, we don't have a choice. So this is my motion. A move by Councillor Sylvie Boudreau, seconded by Councillor Paul Boudreau and Boudreau. Question on the motion. All those in favor signify saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. I have another municipality. I'm aware also with their pool. They need a pass. You could buy a pass for the season, and now for someone who's unvaccinated and say yes, we'll refund it. So I think it has something with registration. As long as the restriction is there, like people might hope maybe by the end of November it might be gone. So I'll wait or something like that. But We're hoping we're heading for better days. Thank you for the discussion. The requests of for information by the council, other question? If not, we'll go with the reading of the bylaws from page 130. Mr. Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Second reading of the bylaw number 65. It's bylaw relating to stormwater at Town of Shediac. Whereas the Council of Shediac can read it when the notice was published in a newspaper or on a website maintained by the municipality, with respecting like the local governance. Whereas the municipal council is satisfied that the notice were published on the internet websites to follow the requirements of the local governance act. Whereas the municipal council is satisfied that the modifications done to the bylaw since its first reading by title are required to ensure like the right application of the bylaw. Be it resolved that the proposed modification and reviewed by the council be adopted and integrated to the actual bylaw. Be it also resolved that the second reading of the bylaw 65, a bylaw relating to the stormwater in the town of Shediac, be done by its title and article number only. Moved by the Deputy Mayor Jean-Claude Bague, seconded by Councillor Colette Boudreau. Question on the moment. If not, all those in favor saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. Mr. Clerk. So bylaw number 65 relating to stormwater in the town of Shediac. Article 1 definition. Article 2 principles. 3 generalities. 4 discharge or stormwater. Article 5 penalties. Thank you. Now do I need to do something else? Only one resolution? Okay. So I did it. So next resolution. Bylaw. Thank you. First reading of bylaw B-22-10 budget center Ville Shediac downtown, that the deposit of a bylaw number B-22-10, a bylaw relating to the budget of Centre-Ville Downtown Inc. be authorized, and that this bylaw is first reading, moved by Councillor Janice Cormier, seconded by Councillor Paul Boudreau. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Against nay. Motion carry. So reading bylaw B-22 budget Centre-Ville Shediac downtown. Councillor Janice. Move that we accept the first reading of bylaw B-21-10 by its title. And seconded by Germaine Galland. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Against nay. Carried. Then we go to page 142. So it's a meeting for special meeting for budget 2022. Be it resolved that special meeting to convene on October 12, 13, and 17, and if required on October 18 from 6 to 9 p.m. to begin the 2022 budget deliberations. I shall move, Mr. Mayor. Moved by Councillor Sylvie Colette Boudreau, seconded by Deputy Mayor Jean-Claude Bertin. Question on the motion, Councillor Paul. I have no problem with the dates and the discussion, but I just have a concern when it comes to the budget. I would like to share with you. It's for RCMP. I mention it very often. And so what we heard and the memo we had last week. Yes, it's true. They have a 20%. So we pay 300,000 more in our budget, if it's the case. But do we have 300,000 more like with this increase? So I will not do a debate like on policing services. So the sooner we can get the numbers, the problem, the greater. The other one is for a citizen and myself as a homeowner. So the rumors, well, we are in growth and houses are selling really well. So if it increased like 18%, so my concern is when it comes for the budget discussion, let's say like Patricia's house, her taxes increased 18. I don't know when we will get those numbers. Where like the tax base like really crunch the numbers and see. It's great like to say like 18%, but let's say like our citizen. And when they say like the tax bill with the 18%, paying 18% more, maybe I'm just jumping to conclusion, but I don't know, Gilles, with the contacts we have in Fredericton, with the municipal association, if we could get some details to see what would be the increase of for our citizen. So the mandate for the revenue we will receive from the province based on tax base, we should get 2 weeks. And in October, when time for the budget discussion, we hear the same thing. For the home evaluation, there would be a quite substantial increase. So I'm waiting to see those numbers. I should see them within a week or two. If it's the case, I would be very hesitant to do any budget discussion until we get those numbers. It's almost 90% of our revenue, so that's so the province ask us to have the budget submit the budget in November, so we need to conform to those requirements. And it's okay, like so. Let's say and so that is my concern. And that's something we're thinking about in October. I will mention like one thing, unless I did not understand properly. So it's an email I had in terms of for negotiating. So they had like a retro until 2017. Over the last years, I could increase more than what was required. So they say, so what you're paying now, it was already in preparation for this, at least in part. So the conclusion, yes, probably there will be an increase, but not as bad or not as high, because they already started to take those funds. I said, geez, it would be nice to know it at the time, but it might soften the blow, like they would say, just for the RCMP services. Thank you. Councillor Sylvie, thank you, Paul. Open, it's an eye-opener, but we still go forward, like with the dates I just said move, and if ever we do not have like the tax base, like we do a modification at the time, because October 12th, like it's the middle of the month. So we go with that, yes. Because budget discussion, it's a council meeting. We will discuss the budget, but if it's a question 12 and we do not have the numbers yet, well, at least we could do it like one first night and then maybe through and have some discussion, yeah. Thank you. We're not the only municipality in this process, so the province also have to give the number. So October 12th will be the first meeting. And on the same night, it continues the next night. So if we have to go until the end of October, well, that's what we'll do. Moved by Councillor Sylvie Colette-Boudreau, seconded by Deputy Mayor Mr. Bertin. All those in favor signify saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. Next item, 144. Councillor Germaine. Contract the change room building. It's a contract TS 21 28292. Be it resolved like the contract TS 21 28290 B to add change room and lights on the land belonging to the city with the PID 702817787 be given to the lowest bidder, Flagship Construction, for the amount of $240,235, HST included. I shall move, Mr. Mayor. Moved by Councilor Jamin Galland, seconded by Councilor Paul Boudreau. A question on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye, against nay. Motion carried. Councilor Jamin, for page 146. Additional funding, multi-sport surface. Whereas the soil analysis to add a concrete base came insufficient, and it was discovered that the land does not have the load capacity required for the proposed project. Be it resolved that a maximum amount of 50,000 be added to the project multi-sport surface in order to do the underground work required to increase the load capacity of the land, and that this amount comes from the funds from the safety recovery agreement. Moved by Councilor Germain Galland and seconded by Deputy Mayor Jean-Claude Bertin. Question on the motion. I have two questions. Councilor Peter, so the 50,000 amount, is it enough? So is it enough? Yes, the committee look also it will be an additional 50,000. So you would have $100,000, and it was enough. Thank you, Councilor Paul. Just to remind the council members of the contribution, if you're aware of the numbers, and even with this additional 50,000, it's still minimum. It's a big project, so thank you very much. And Peter was talking about the responsibility of the town in the 80s, like the land in question, for a reason and another. The reason we need some modification, the land is close to the marina, so it's not adequate what was being proposed. So the town needs has a responsibility to have the right spot for this infrastructure. And the third reason is the volunteer group almost they were able to collect $300,000, and I think with this it will go forward, and eventually it will be a very good project for young people and not so young people. Just to give you an update for the recovery fund, but as we received like for 2021 from 261,751 and 56 cents, and you took an amount 20,000 for the lobster festival like that you approved in the spring. And for this project, you already approved like an amount of 213,000. So the 248,000 were deducted from the 361. So you have $120,000 left in this fund. For the 50,000, you still have enough. Councilor Paul. Denis, with this, in addition to this, do you have a deadline? We cannot give you a timeline until we go. If we didn't go forward, well, the project would end until we find the funds. But now we have the amount. I will call Canadian Construction, and then we will have establish a deadline now that we have the funds. So my concern was the concrete. Thank you, Denis. So we have the motion on the table, moved by Councilor Germain Galland, seconded by Deputy Mayor Jean-Claude Bertin. All those in favor signify by saying aye, against nay. Motion adopted. While we are in the recovery fund, to take a decision like for the ATV club for the 20,000, like 15 and 5, we did not take a decision where we would take those funds. you mentioned like the recovery fund, but I think Denis had the discussion like to have the possibility to get the 5,000 maybe from Shediac experience if you agree, and the 15,000 you want to take it from the recovery fund or sponsorship fund. So I have to add it to the resolution for the bridge. So I forgot to mention it. So since I was the person who proposed this one. So from your experience, so you're saying like we have a good amount on the recovery fund. Is this money that was given? Or is it money we could lose? Or no, it belongs to us. So we spend them in 2021, 2022. It doesn't matter. So if you do not spend it, it will go in the year-end surplus. So it's the same for the budget, for the sponsorship budget. We have no funds left, but we still have some in the town hall project. Where the financial guru, what do you want to do with it? Sponsorship would be like a grant and a promotion, but the recovery fund. But if the recovery, so why don't we put it in this? In Shediac experience next year. So this is the recommendation. If you agree, I need a resolution on this. We will add it like to the resolution. So next one, vaccination protocol, like Councillor Paul. The vaccination and the testing for should we accept like the administrative policy like number 20 concerning like the vaccination protocol and the COVID-19 screening. I shall move, but I have a question. Moved by Councillor Paul Boudreau, seconded by Sylvie Colette Boudreau. This is a policy for the staff of the town of Shediac, like the requirements for to be vaccinated, and if you're not vaccinated, you have to do screening testing, similar to the province of New Brunswick, essentially. And several municipalities adopted the same, and it applies to the board members. So, question, Councillor Paul. Question. I have no problem with this enforce this policy. So, we know like the numbers of employees. Who are not vaccinated are getting vaccinated. So I read the policy and I support 100%. Like here, we are here to offer services, and for those services, like we use human resources. So if the human resources they took a decision not to get vaccinated, can you give the task to took the decision not to work with the public? Or this is a good question. That's something we could ask to a union in this case. And let's say that, and it would have to submit also because it's still confidential information for on vaccine. It's not something we can look at. It's not something we can keep in file. We have to take note of this. Those who are not vaccinated and those who do not want to give the confirmation they were vaccinated, well, they will have to follow a process like, and once a month they have to do like another test. So the province remove it from their obligation, like the PCR test, but we're leaving it here. So as long as we believe it, I think we will not even have the by November they will not have to pass this test. So it's still a protocol that allows us to make sure, as you said, Councillor Paul, like it's a service we're offering the citizen to be safe. Is to offer like a safe service to the citizen. I appreciate. It's not an easy. It's no easy file. There's a vote on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. And then we have a committee nomination. I have one to do, like the Economic Development Committee. Mrs. Sophie Béliveau-Doiron. She's the president of the Chamber of Commerce. She's the owner of Ocean Surf Campground. So I would move that she can sit on the moved by Councillor Germaine Gallant, seconded by Councillor Emile O'Brien. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Against nay. Motion carried. And I need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Germaine Gallant. Thank you very much.